Hey everyone, I'm Holden on here, and today I wanted to talk about some of my embarrassing childhood stories. I'm a little under the weather right now, and I've spent a lot of the last couple weeks improving and working really hard on my main channel, Time to Grind, so I haven't had as much time for this channel, but I thought that was the perfect opportunity for me to make another one of these talking to the camera, talking about just some stories, story time videos or whatever. And I was a really stupid kid, and so I have plenty of stupid and embarrassing stories. And so I just sat down and tried to think of as many of them as I could and thought we'll just talk about them and put them in a video and hopefully you guys enjoy them. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. And I think the story that I want to start off this video with isn't one that I look back and cringe at myself. It's more just an insane story from my childhood that the teacher involved was probably a little embarrassed. But when I was in elementary school, probably second, third, fourth grade, something like that, we had an assignment where each of us had to pick like a different animal. You had to research the animal. You had to make like a PowerPoint presentation over it. And then you had to present in front of the class. Now, I don't remember if it was assigned animals or what, but I got the seal. And so in doing a lot of research about seals, I learned about the insane thing called seal clubbing, and I don't know too much of how effective this is or how important this actually is, but there is in fact something where certain seasons during the year, humans will volunteer, or I guess in some cases, have a job to literally just have clubs, and you just go out and you literally just club seals to death. Because I don't know, it's some overpopulation thing. Once again, I don't know how actually important it was, but it is a thing that happens to a big degree. And so there were tons of YouTube videos about that. And kid me didn't know that I probably shouldn't put YouTube links and YouTube videos of club sealing or seal clubbing, in the PowerPoint presentation. And so I did just that, threw YouTube videos on them, and I'm presenting as a kid. And I just remember, I'll never forget, right, just the horror on my teacher's face when I started showing these videos to the class, right? And I didn't get in trouble or anything because that is part of seals, I suppose, or how we treat seals. And it was just crazy. I think I don't have, a lot of these are very hazy. These have been, 10, 15 years, whatever ago. But that is just something I will always remember. And now, along with that, but something that is actually extremely embarrassing for me, is I remember when I was in fifth grade, that's when we started, or the schools that we went to started to do it, where we would have like a teacher rotation. I think we had like 2 or 3 teachers. They were trying to get us used to middle school, where you would be going to 7, 8 different classes and have 7 and 8 different teachers and stuff like that. And so there was 2 different rotations you could have, or 2 different, I guess, groupings of teachers, right? And both of them had three people. And there was one person in the other group that I didn't have that everybody loved. And I'm not going to name any names here, but he was an awesome teacher. Everybody loved him. And at some point halfway through the year, so I didn't have him. And halfway through the year, they did like a little switcheroo, I think just for fun, maybe make you more familiar with more teachers or something like that. And everybody adored this teacher, right? I think he was the only male teacher at the time, and I don't know if that had played a part, but either way, he was insanely cool. And so sometimes he would do Q&As where people could ask him questions and stuff like that. And I remember, everyone would raise their hand to try to get to ask him a question. And I remember one time I'm in his class, right? This is like one of my first times sitting there. He's doing a Q&A. He was so cool. I wanted to talk to him. And so the second that he started asking for questions, I raised my hand. And I just wasn't, I guess, prepared for him to immediately pick on me because I did not have a question ready for him. So he asks me what my question is, and I start panicking because I do not have a question. So I start looking around the room, stuff like that, and I see a pair of scissors on his desk. And so I didn't know anything about self-harm or depression or anything like that. I'm just an innocent 5th grader here. And so I see the scissors. I don't have a question. And so I ask him, have you ever cut yourself? Because I just saw scissors and I didn't know what cutting yourself meant in like a self-harm thing. And so I just cringe about it every time I think about that, because he was like he was definitely taken aback from this question. I think he kind of pivoted it to just some injuries he's gotten in the past. You know, he had some crazy bones he broke. He had some crazy, situations. And so he pivoted it really well. Nobody said anything, but like then when, several years pass and I kind of learn what all of that means, it's so cringy and embarrassing thinking about what he thought. Like, I'm sure he knew I was a kid and I didn't really know much, but I'm like, oh no, I really hope he didn't think like fifth grade me was like self-harming or something. I mean, later in life, that was the first job. I actually worked for him doing summer camps. We were doing like teaching kids how to mod Minecraft and science experiments and stuff. So I don't know if he felt bad for me or something. But that is one that gets me really bad. Another childhood story I have from even way further back, because most of these stories were in elementary school. I was in elementary school from, I think, 2nd to 5th grade. And before that, my parents actually put me in a Montessori school. I think that's how you pronounce it, which I really like. For those of you guys that don't know, I was only in it for like 2 years. But for those of you guys that don't know, it's like a school that tries to teach kids how to be kind of more independent, right? So we always had like multiple projects that we were working on and stuff like that. And you could kind of work on whatever you wanted at your own pace, and it kind of taught you to be independent and figure out what things you like. And I really like that. I don't know if I can contribute my independence and me working really hard on all this stuff myself because of that or my upbringing. I don't know, but I appreciate it. Maybe I'll talk about, education or something in a future video. But apparently when I first started doing Montessori school, and there's a small chance this was even before that in preschool, but my mom always tells the story of one of the first couple days, after the first couple days of being introduced. Oh, actually, I didn't even write this down on my bullet points, but this actually goes with this. I remember in preschool, so this is for sure preschool, when they first tried to start, putting me in school or daycare or something. And I remember a lot of the daycares like were separated whether if you were potty trained or not. Like if you weren't potty trained, you couldn't go to this preschool, right? And so my parents, I guess I was struggling or something. I don't remember. And I guess my parents always like telling me that they couldn't put me into the daycare or the preschool that they wanted to put me in because I wasn't potty trained. And then literally like a week or two after the school year started or whatever, I became potty trained. And they're like, really? You couldn't have done this 2 weeks ago? But going with that, either in one of my first couple days of Montessori school, or one of the actual preschools that I got put into, my mom always tells me that and tells the story that when in the first couple of days, the teacher kind of pulled my parents aside when they came and picked me up and was like, hey, so just want to let you know, like, there's a bunch of holes in Holden's shirts. And I just want to let you know what's been going on. Holden keeps going to the bathroom and bringing scissors in the bathroom with him. And he just cuts holes in his shirt. And so my mom's like, Holden, why are you doing this? And I of course, I didn't have an answer. I have no clue. I don't even really remember doing this. These are just stories that I've been told, I have a lot of scissors stories, right? Asking that one teacher about if he cuts himself, me doing that as well. And then probably one of the earliest stories I have, which isn't really an embarrassing story, but it fits, is apparently when I was like literally a toddler. I have a younger sister as well that's 3 years younger than me. And so I guess what my mom used to do when we were toddlers is if she had to take a shower, she would like put us in the like the bedroom right near the shower or whatever. And she's taking a shower and she hears my little sister start screaming bloody murder. And so she obviously runs out and she sees me with like eyelash clippers or maybe like little mini scissors. And I was like trying to cut her eyebrows or something. So she obviously starts freaking out. She's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then from that point on, every time she took a shower, I think she had to put my sister in a little seat right outside of the shower. And so she would like constantly open and I guess make sure I wasn't torturing my sister. I don't know why I did that. I once again have no memories of this. But a lot of scissors stories in my childhood, apparently. Another story from my Montessori school days. So when I was effectively in kindergarten or first grade or whatever, was, halfway through the year or a quarter way through the year, they have the parent teacher conferences and stuff like that. And all the parents come and see all the projects, that the kids have been doing, especially with it being more student focused. And so every student kind of had different projects that they had finished, and my mom, and dad go and they're like, where is Holden's desk? Where is his table? We don't see it. And they're like, oh, it's over here. They're like, it's right next to the window. We found that we have to put Holden directly in front of a window so he doesn't distract himself and his other classmates, right? So they just stuck me in front of a window. So I guess I would just look outside and be calm or something like that. I don't know. But going along with some of the shirt stories as well, right? Me cutting my shirt and stuff. Another really embarrassing story I have is I remember when we were in elementary school, we had gym or PE or whatever you want to call it. And it was like everybody had an assigned spot on the gym floor. And so I don't remember if they used tape or something, but it was almost like a grid of, like boxes. And so like on all the intersections is where your maybe assigned seat was. And so, at the beginning and end, or if they called for it, you had to go sit, crisscross applesauce or whatever on your seat. And so I remember, being in gym at one point and I had a hoodie on and a shirt underneath, and I was hot as fuck. And so I'm kind of in the middle, like that's where my assigned thing was. And it was just stereotypical, one of those moments where I'm trying to take my hoodie off, and my shirt comes with it. And I get stuck with my shirt and my hoodie above my head. My arms are stuck in it. I'm just like effectively shirtless and I start freaking out. And I'm talking, we had like 50, 75 kids in each of the gym classes. And I think that's why we had to have like the assigned seats. And so like, I imagine everyone just starts looking at me. Everyone starts laughing. And then I think one of the gym coaches or something, he was like, oh, come over here or something. And I don't remember if I could slightly see or if I just heard. Right. And so I remember running behind like a shelf that had a bunch of basketballs and stuff on, and then like situating myself. Right. And then the walk back to the assigned seat after that, when just there's 50 or 60 kids watching you. I mean, that shit just haunts me like for so long, it was bad. It was bad. I think that's probably one of the most embarrassing stories I probably have as a kid. The only other thing related to shirts that I can think of that would slightly be related to like embarrassing childhood stories was I was definitely one of those kids that wore all of those really cringy, stereotypical graphic tees, right? The Domo shirts. Now, and I want to clarify something. There is nothing wrong with being cringe, right? Like if you're cringe, you will find like people that are cringe with you and stuff like that. And I think people that cringe at other people just need to learn to like, I don't know, like be happy with yourself. You don't need to like shit on other people. So when I'm saying like cringe, I'm not like making fun of myself as a kid. It's just, that's how I'm describing it, but there's nothing wrong with being cringe. Right. But I was one of those kids that wore all of those t-shirts that were like 10 reasons why cool guys wear pink. And it was like this pink shirt with like a bunch of different reasons why cool guys wear pink. And just stuff like that. I wore a bunch of Domo shirts. I loved Domo as a kid. So not really fully embarrassing. I don't like really think back at it embarrassed, right? Because maybe it wasn't the best fashion, but I stick by people doing what they want to do, but just going along with all the shirt stories. And although I could probably think of a million other embarrassing stories and stuff like that, I wanted this video to be kind of short. But I do have two more stories for you guys. One of which is just, I remember this slightly, but it's more just me being constantly reminded by some of my childhood friends. Now I'm getting back into Pokemon cards. We just did the Neon Apes episode about card games. Go check it out if you haven't subscribed to that channel or that podcast. Self-promo, I suppose. But so I've been getting back into Pokemon. And so some of my friends have told me stories about how I guess as a kid, we collected Pokemon as well. We didn't really play the games very much. We didn't really know how to play. It was more about collecting and trading and stuff. But apparently something that I did in some of the few moments where we tried to play the game was apparently I would try to like cheat. And I don't know if this was me trying to genuinely cheat or if I somehow thought this was the way the game worked or something. But I've been told that I would do things like, you know, say I have a Lucario. Maybe we watched the Lucario Mystery and Mew too many times. Which is an amazing movie. Watch that. But apparently I would be like, oh, well, my Lucario actually can't take damage because he's like super invincible. And I don't know if that was because it had like lore text that said something like that, or if I was just thinking that because we had just watched the movie. I don't know. And apparently I would get in like, you know, fight like screaming matches, you know, with some of my friends because they're like, that's not how it fucking works. You know, I'm just being all stubborn kid me and be like, no, that is how it works. And maybe that's why we didn't play much Pokemon as a kid. I have a card game. I don't know. Maybe that's why. But yeah, that was something. And one of the few other moments I can think of that I genuinely cringe at, even if it's not necessarily my fault, is it was when I was in middle school or maybe early high school, but I think middle school, whenever Steam started introducing the Steam trading cards, you know, where just by playing video games, you know, you could earn Steam trading cards and then you could, you know, trade with other people or buy them on the market, you know, to craft badges or sell them on the market, right? And so obviously, especially when they first came out, it was a pretty good way to like, you know, as a kid to buy some more video games or buy some TF2 items or stuff like that. And so a lot of my friends just didn't know about any of it. They didn't know just anything to do with it. And one of my childhood friends, I'm not going to name who, but someone on the, you know, the Neon Apes that has been on the Neon Apes before. I was over at his house. We were doing a sleepover and I was like trying to talk to him about this, trying to talk to him about how we could sell him to buy a game. I don't know if I was trying to convince him to get a multiplayer game with me or something. And he was like, oh, I don't have money, you know, or whatever. And I'm like, oh, you could, I see in your Steam inventory, you can sell these Steam trading cards to make enough money. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I'm like, okay, well, like, can you send me your Steam trading cards? Like, send me your Steam trading cards and I'll buy you the game. Or I don't know, maybe I was like, maybe I'll send you money or something. Like, I'll give you some money and I'll get the Steam trading cards or something like that. And like, I'm not trying to scam my friend at all, right? Like, if I remember correctly, it was to have us play a game together. But even if it did devolve to something where I was like, okay, well, can I just have them if you don't want them, right? And so I'm like trying to, you know, talk with him about this. And all of a sudden I hear his mom from downstairs, like scream, whisper, like, don't do it. And then like his name, like, don't do it. And I just look at him. And I'm just so embarrassed because one, I didn't know that his mom was just eavesdropping on everything that we were saying and doing, which I suppose is fair, right? We were kids. I mean, it's not like, you know, we deserve a bunch of privacy or something. I don't know. Maybe we do. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But like, we were just in the living room upstairs. It's not like we were like, you know, and I just remember like an overwhelming sense of like embarrassment because I'm like, do you think that I'm trying to like scam your son, like one of my best friends right now? Like what is going on? And so I kind of dropped it, I think, at that point. But I still cringe at that moment. That's probably surprisingly one of the most cringy moments, even though I don't think I was that big at fault, because I think it was just his mom not understanding the situation. Like, I don't know if she thought we were talking about physical trading cards or something, or I was trying to scam him or something, but her just constantly 2 or 3 times being like, don't do it, you know, like, and then like followed by his name, just haunts me, honestly, to this day. It truly does. And overall, that's really it. I mean, like I said, I probably have a million other childhood stories. I have a lot that I could also talk about, you know, not even just embarrassing, but just a lot of things I've learned from my childhood and stuff like that. So, you know, I like doing a lot of big variety stuff on this channel. So if you do want to see more childhood stories or hear more childhood stories like this, you know, definitely let me know. Just thought it would be a fun little filler video, you know, trying to put out at least a video every 2 weeks or so on this channel. I know it took a little bit extra time to get this video out. I've just been working insanely hard on the main channel, time to grind. We had the podcast episode for Neon Apes come out a couple weeks ago as well. So just been working really, really hard, but I haven't forgot about this channel. I keep wanting to do a bunch of fun stuff. There's a lot of other really fun videos I want to do that are like video essays about some of my favorite things in media, right? Last video was like my top 5 favorite anime. I really want to make a video on my favorite sitcom of all time, It's Always Sunny, on my favorite comic strip, Calvin and Hobbes, potentially another political video about what's what's going on here in Texas, and just a bunch of random stuff. Even if it takes a little bit of extra time to get content out to you guys, I just love this channel. I think it's a great creative outlet for me to make content that isn't just gaming content, So I really hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you have any embarrassing childhood stories of your own in the comments down below. And I think one of the best things to look back, right, is looking back at all of these embarrassing moments or cringy moments. A lot of the times it's like a good way to kind of feel that you've grown as a person, right? Even if some of these were just stupid, innocent, silly ones, it's like all the mistakes and cringiness and anything that you might feel means you're probably growing as a person, right? Or something like that. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a motivational way to end this video, I suppose. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was entertaining. If you have any feedback, let me know. Otherwise, I'm holding on, just like you guys. I know the world's a crazy place right now, so trying to make it a little bit less crazy for y'all, and letting y'all know I'm holding on here with y'all. And so let me know if you want to see more content like this. Check out all the other fun videos on this channel. And we're trying to make sure you subscribe and ring that bell. We're trying to get this YouTube channel caught up to Time to Grind. I can officially say that we have caught up to the Neon Apes channel, and we have surpassed my other channel. So out of the 3 channels I have, this is now the second most popular, or at least subscribed to one. So we're gonna get it got up to Time to Grind. So do all of that stuff. I don't know. I always forget how I end these videos, but thanks for watching. See you next time.